that if Air Peace is not allocated a space at the London Heathrow Airport, Nigeria will be forced to reciprocate by denying British Airways and Virgin Atlantic slots at the Lagos and Abuja airports. Keyamo, in a letter, reminded the UK that both British Airways and Virgin Atlantic are operating into Nigeria's primary airports in Lagos and Abuja without encumbrances placed in their way. Let me read the excerpt of his letter there. Keyamo wrote, British Airways, in particular, has been flying into Lagos since 1936. Therefore, it is necessary for Nigerian designated carriers to enjoy similar reciprocity that British carriers are enjoying. It is highly unfair on the side of the British authorities and a discredit to the Nigerian authorities and the Nigerian nation as a whole for slot allocation to Nigerian carriers to be an issue at all times. We feel totally betrayed by the British authorities for not reciprocating the good gesture of the Nigerian state and its people. Well, also kudos to the Minister of Aviation. He has always stood for our Nigerian carrier. I mean, this is appalling. At this time, Air Peace is still waiting for, slots to Heathrow Airport, but they are getting all our slots in Abuja and in Lagos. I mean, how dare they? How dare they? This is wrong, completely wrong.
This for me ties into the previous story as well. And I love the part of David Hunde's statement where he talks about the conspiracy. He said, you don't need to tell me again that there is a conspiracy around the global world order. And this is what is at play here, is that when it comes to Africa, we are always treated as not even second class, third class citizens on the global playing field. Now, what needs to happen? Because it's not enough for us to continue to cry foul. It's not enough for us to continue to blame the world order. It's time for us to take action, like the minister is saying. Let's reciprocate. Let's also value ourselves enough to say that, you know what, okay, if these are the games you want to play, where you feel that the global north can always play at an upper hand, should always stand to benefit, and should always be at the higher end of the value chain, then it's also time for us to say, well, you know what, okay, this is what we have, our small little value. So sorry, it's not enough for you, but you know what, it's worth something somewhere. Let's invest in ourselves. What Air Peace makes going to London, Air Peace can make going to Nairobi, to Zanzibar, to Cairo, to African travel as it is so stressful and difficult. Right. It can take, I remember we discussed this in the past, it can take almost 24 hours for you to just get to Benin or Togo or whatever because of all of the connecting flights, even to Senegal, and it's so expensive. So I feel that this is also a time for us to have a mind shift reset as Africans and start to realize that they don't like us. They are not doing things in our favor as Africans. Neocolonialism is not a conspiracy theory. It's real. It's at play. It's time for us to emancipate ourselves as Africans, empower ourselves as Africans, and focus on Africa, and also stop fighting ourselves, between ourselves as Africans, and stop being greedy and stealing from our own people.
Those are the valid points that you've just made. I mean, Rufai, and just to note that there is no, I believe there's no connection at that Gatwick airport as well. I mean, can you imagine Nigerian passengers going into Gatwick and having to exit to Heathrow? And these British Airways and Virgin Atlantic have been accessing our airports easily like that. It is so painful.
It's deliberate.
Yes.
It's absolutely deliberate. You even remember the fight.
Yeah.
Air Peace had to fight to be able to get the Gatwick in the first place.
Yes, absolutely.
You remember how long they had applied for and they had to fight. So it's totally deliberate. Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't need to tell you again that there's a sentiment against Africans. They don't need to tell you, if for anything, if you didn't see it clearly. I'm sure you saw the riots in the UK. And it was about because of the way people looked, and you are not welcomed here. But I'm also happy about a keyamo that is putting his foot on the ground. If it was other times in the past, people would not put their foot on the ground. And what Keyamo has done will make a big statement. So kudos to Keyamo today. Yeah. By saying to them that, see, if you don't give Air Peace a spot in Heathrow, then don't worry. You will go and land in Ilorin, or you go and land in Enugu as Virgin.
Yes.
And if you try it, we will show you that we can do it.
Yes.
Because it's not only them. You remember how we had to fight with UAE when they were saying we should go land in Sharjah? So it's not today. And you see, the word for it is international aeropolitics.
Yes.
And the British are the masters of playing it. Right. These were the same people that they had been landing planes here since the 30s. Like they said rightly.
Yeah.
So we must insist. Yeah. Because if you don't insist, you're not going to go. You even remember how they brought out the first scandal against Air Peace at Gatwick, that they're not fill up one thing or the other. So it is deliberate. So we know it, but day to day will meet us here. At least we're excited. This minister is not conniving with our external adversaries.
Thank God for that.
In some cases in the past, we have people conniving with our external adversaries. And we like to beg local adversaries of Air Peace the airport authorities and all of that, please. You remember when the man came to complain here?
Right.
We can't be fighting external adversaries and your local collaborators.